A decade ago, SuperSport and the PSL signed a landmark deal that changed the face of South African football. The TV rights deal transformed not just the broadcasting of the PSL, but it also increased the volume of the content, from the addition of matches available for viewing to what happens behind the scenes at football clubs. The deal ensured that fans would have a 360-degree view of all that is PSL.
If you think about where the PSL was 10 years ago, in terms of its profile, in terms of its financial status, in terms of where the players' ambitions lie, in terms of the quality of the productions, the fact that every local soccer player's dream was to get out of this league and go and play in another league in other parts of the world, and that today they are super comfortable about saying, I'm proud enough to be playing in South Africa, not only for financial reasons, but it's a league that I can feel very proud to be associated with.
As a kid, your inspirations was to play on the big stage, but yeah, the big stage didn't really offer as much as it is now, you know, because TV didn't have such a massive influence in our football. When I got to Europe, I saw what organization was, what a massive impact the media and TV coverage had on players' profiles and the status that the players have, all due to behind the scenes when it comes to media and TV and broadcasting, you know. So that made me believe that, you know, we were still a million years behind the rest of the world when it comes to broadcasting and television.
We were having some difficulties, problems when SuperSport was not there before, where we encountered some difficulties where other teams, they didn't get exposure in terms of the broadcasting.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the PSL and when it started, you talk obviously about the type of football that was played and what was broadcast at the time. And I think the way it was broadcast also, it was probably, you know, very low quality, and I think since then also it had to definitely progress.
The only thing we knew about PSL football, in fact about South African football at all, was just weekend games, which was Saturdays at 3 to 5. That's when we watched PSL matches at Saturdays as well as Sundays.
What is quite interesting is the few games that SuperSport had to produce and televise on their channels. And our dream was always to do the big matches, you know, constantly wanting to know one day maybe it'll happen. But we all understood, you know, the dynamics of local football and how important it is to everyone in South Africa. And we just sort of let it rest, and we just continued doing what we do and to try to do our best with the local football that we had access to.
Not all the games were covered, so we'd talk about specific games that we saw on TV, and the rest we'd actually read about, hear about from the people who knew people at the clubs.
People at home, they will never know about, there's a guy called Bota, because the coverage was very, very slim, and the coverage was not that enough.
Before, people they didn't like recognize me because there was no SuperSport. There was only like weekends game, and obvious, you know, they used to show only the big teams. Maybe a month they will only show Pirate when they only play Pirate. But after like they introduced SuperSport, I think it was easy for us, for people to recognize us, and you know, I think it was, you know, it was good. You know, today people, they know us because of SuperSport.
We started football long before SuperSport, long before our relationship with SuperSport, and those were very, very difficult years. I remember when we started, just after being promoted, we celebrated thinking that all our problems would be over by being in the PSL. Little did we know that that was the beginning of all of our problems. There were times before the relationship with SuperSport when we couldn't even pay grants. The league couldn't even pay grants to clubs. There was a stage where the clubs that we had more than the others were sacrificing their grants and giving to clubs like my club, Golden Arrows, at that stage, just to honor the fixtures. And those were terrible times. That's where football comes from, and people are not aware, or they might have forgotten, or maybe we kept it a secret that those were difficult times.
If I reflect back on the early 2000s, South African football needed to reconfigure its financial model. You know, unlike football around the world and other sporting codes, football relied heavily on gate money and sponsorships. And if you looked at the rest of the world, they relied primarily on television deals. So it was absolutely essential that football broadly were able to secure a media deal of this kind of magnitude.
The PSL was definitely, like I would say, one of those rough diamonds where it just needed to be discovered and obviously put on a bigger platform.
The rights were owned by the public broadcaster. And of course, when the contract came to an end, we had to enter into a tender process.
The unlocking of this true understanding and the value for the PSL was the intervention of the Youth League.
Anything that will benefit PSL and benefit the players and everybody else, if SAPC wanted to contest that, it should be a commercial deal. We want the PSL to grow and to become better.
Immediately after that discussion, they had the press conference. And the public-private partnership was now a success because the Youth League went and explained, as I understood it, not from third-party information, from us, the PSL, we will balance the public interest and also our interest as a league and the interest of the broadcasters to make sure that everybody is accommodated.
In developing the ITT, the PSL had to balance the interests of the PSL, the public, and political organizations.
Everybody had to make sure that they comply with the requirements of the ITT to make sure that they increase their chances of success.
As Peter Manser, with my whole life experience, I did not realize then that I was part of a historic game-changing experience of the value proposition of the PSL.
We're fortunate that we had SuperSport at that point led by Imtiaz Patel, who understand the dynamics of the PSL because he's serving the board of governors of the PSL.
On the signing of the contract, I was privileged to be in the room where I witnessed and experienced the emotions of two serious role players in our football organization. Such excitement, like children in a candy shop, showed by Mr. Kaiser Matong and Dr. Ivan Koza. I could see it. Mission accomplished.
For me, it was a matter of adding the sums to say what makes sense, what doesn't make any business sense as well, and also the product as well that we wanted to put out there. And SuperSport came on board, and they came with all the solutions.
The negotiating team really had a very, very difficult task for us to be able to put this partnership together.
What we have done as a PSL, we've imposed on us self-regulations between ourselves and SuperSport. We will balance the public interest and also our interest as a league and the interest of the broadcasters to make sure that everybody is accommodated.
Local soccer is the people's sport. I think what this deal did for SuperSport and MultiChoice is that it took the company into the hearts of the people as such.
After everything, when SuperSports come on board, partnering with PSA, things have changed dramatically.
It's a worldwide phenomenon now in all major footballing markets that you have a big, sophisticated broadcaster partnering with a big, strong league. And all the big, strong leagues are exactly that because of the input of television. So I think people's fears about missing out on their football certainly were unfounded in the beginning. But there was that concern, but very quickly it became obvious that if you wanted to watch football, doesn't matter how rich or how poor you were, it was available even though it was on the so-called pay channel.
We had 4 or 5 games a week live on television, something that has never happened on television in this country.
We didn't have any restrictions. I remember the very first game in Mabatu. It was the game that we thought this is going to be the game changer. We're going to show people today in this country and on the continent what football production is about on SuperSport. So we took up to 30 cameras with a helicopter. We went on air at about 7, and we were at the ground at about 5:30. Everyone was so excited. And we did 3 games. We went on air from around about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we got off air around about 19:30 at night. I cannot describe it to you, but hopefully there are shots that you could be using to tell you the story.
It was a revolution of television in terms of how you flight football live on television.
Being at SuperSport, over the years we had good knowledge of what football coverage should look like. But we also had to come up with our own style. And we felt in South Africa we are unique in terms of our fan behavior. We're the only country that I can think of where the 2 rival fans sit next to each other. So in our coverage, a lot of the times we try to show more of the fan, with not having an impact on the match coverage.
I think the biggest moments for me relate to supporters. I mean, when you look at the screen or are in the stadium and see supporters having a great time, we're in a business that touches people's lives.
The other one was the multiple camera angles and how do we position cameras, and how do we build the coaches and have more of the cutaways of the coaches, bringing in more. People need to get to know who the owners are, who are the people that own these clubs. So building profiles all the time. Most importantly, the big innovative factor was the 24-hour channel. Started a year later, a 24/7 channel that had various programming, a show called Love PSL, that gives you the lifestyle and behind the scenes of the football world. How does a football contract affect a player? Is he able to buy the car that he likes? Is he able to feed his family or support the rest of his family, buying the house of his dreams? And we believe that with SuperSport's football deal, it did filter down to everything, and shows like Love PSL does focus on that.
There's a journey that's kind of missed out on between, where they start out and superstardom, that shows like that have an opportunity to show people that there's a lot of hard work, grit and determination that gets these players to where they eventually get to. So I think it's important for those shows to exist, and I think magazine shows also help just kind of put a 360-degree view of what football is really, because it's not just the pitch, it's not just the studio, it's not just commentary, there's so much that goes into it.
There's club magazine programs that give you an insight into how the clubs are developing.
One of the things that you must realize about supporters is that they live, eat, breathe football clubs. They love their clubs and they want to know what is AmaZulu doing outside of matches. So those have allowed us to extend our brand, show our brands as caring brands at times, and also brands that are active in their communities.
There's obviously a review show on a Monday night that gives you an analysis of the weekend's games. It allows a viewer participation. And then on Thursday night, we have a show called Thursday Night Live, which gives you a preview to the weekend's games that's coming up. And then for every live game, we have, massive build-ups and good wrap-ups at the end of the game, putting context to everything that we show on SuperSport.
In terms of the analyst side, we prefer people who've played the game, who've walked the field. And then if you talk about the strikers, and they will tell you what it's like to be a striker, what it's like to play on the derby, the nerves that come with it. So the analyst was also add the flavor, because yes, anyone can just switch on the TV and watch the game, but people are interested to know the views. Everyone is a coach at home, but you have former coaches who come on our panel and give us the best angle and tell us the conditioning of players before the game. So I think for us, that adds to the great success of the PSL.
Football now is more science than anything else. The analysis, the distances that players cover, what they did, the number of times they touched the ball, all that SuperSport has made possible. Those video analysis that almost every team does now were not possible before. You used to struggle to get footage. Now footage is readily available and you can analyze the game.
The whole footballing process became better because now footballers had profiles where they are seen throughout the country, and then it went global. It went throughout the whole African continent. So I think people started taking notice of South African football thanks to SuperSport.
Sunday, with Lucky Biel realigning a move for Polokwane City and Ibaroka's heads changing management in search of a win. Come Sunday, Kuzaba Manzi Panzi. Polokwane City versus Baroka FC. Sizwenga Njiski. The Absa Premiership.
The marketing of the PSL product went from 0 to 1,000,000%. The quality of promos that are put out about the PSL, the quality of marketing that SuperSport and the Multi-Choice Group put out is world-class as well and phenomenal. So it's driving people to want to watch the PSL product.
It changed a number of things, the graphics, the way the game was presented to our supporters, but also a lot of technologies that allowed us to showcase our brands differently, platforms for us to engage with our supporters, and for us to be able to have magazine shows, to see a lot more content available to our supporters was absolutely incredible.
So as far as the multiple language options are concerned, I think that is the best of all worlds. I mean, you have great talent in English, great talent in isiZulu, you've got great talent kaSesotho. So I mean, I think our viewers are literally spoiled for choice.
Amathuba amaningi avela nabakhulumisana nabakhuluma ngisho isivenda ngisho abakhuluma ini bayakwazi ukuthi nangabe esakaza osakazayo uma ngabe engafuni ukuzwa isingisi uyakwazi ukuthi athi cha language option number 2 angene esizulwini ukuthi bathi sinjani izindaba lapho zimbi noma zinhle yini athi cha language option number 3 akhuluma ngesuthu lapha bethi wadli varara wadli moto into ezinjengalezo.
Your Zama Masondos, your Matt Listen, your Baba Mteto, your Sizwe Mabena came to the scene and lighted up. So the passion for me I see in them drives me to do better. You know, I must give them the pictures that will excite them. I must give them the pictures that will make them tell the story better. They love the product, so they want to own it. You know, they want to say something which is going to grow the product.
Lokhu kwasinikeza ithuba lokuthi ithuthukise izinga le commentary ngoba uma ngabe ukhuluma lapha kumanje nje uma kukhona into oyishoyo engalunganga iyangena khona manje ithi bayabhala abantu ukuthi hayi khona lo akenzi okufanele manje uhlala njalo uwakhuphulile amasokisi ngoba uyazi ukuthi phela umsebenzi ungaphela uma ngabe ukuthi awenzi okufanele.
Languages, believe me, that was the bona, the master stroke for SuperSport, to have different languages.
I think there's always a conscious effort to have the best minds and the best voices in our commentary booths, and I think we've done very well. If I look at the people that are here, a lot of them, you know, I used to admire just listening from the outside, and now to be rubbing shoulders with them as your colleagues and have a mutual respect for what you guys do and be part of that team, that's great.
The historic broadcast deal between SuperSport and the PSL has changed the way that our fans experience their number one passion. The broadcast deal has seen the ABSA Premiership become an international event.
The partnership has grown on both sides as far as the PSL and SuperSport. And what SuperSport has brought also, obviously, besides the fact that financially making the PSL viable and players benefiting in that indirectly, I think is the way that broadcasting has changed over the last few years and the innovative ideas that's come on board as well. It's giving fans a different perspective about the game. It's not just watching a screen and you see there's the pitch in front of you. There's so many things on a yearly basis that's being changed, and I think that for me is quite exciting and great as far as the future is concerned.
I think passion was the key driver. We had to teach each other, hold each other by the hand to say, guys, we are on this road together. And I think most of the guys who came through at the time, they had the love for local football, which was number one. And then people started growing into this thing, and then it became an easy assignment, even when Alvin had to give me the baton to say, now you're the head of PSL at the time, run with it.
I think the biggest thing that SuperSport has allowed us to do is capture the moments. And I think if we can capture the moments and inspire people through football, there's so much we can do for this country.
Prior to the deal, the PSL's product was on a par with anything else in South Africa. When SuperSport got involved and took over the production of the PSL product, obviously with the PSL team, under the tenureship and leadership of Dr. Arvin Khoza, the product has become world-class. The clubs have become world-class. The players are earning a lot more money and therefore they are playing better. The whole organization has transformed. We are now number 5 in the world as leagues. And that is a direct result, and a thank you to SuperSport and their input to make sure. I mean, our product at this precise moment, our derbies and our big derbies, are going and being broadcast to Eurosport to 55 million homes worldwide. So it's on a par with anything in the world, and even better than some of the leagues in the world.
SuperSport has made sure that we have enough resources to invest, in our clubs, to enhance professionalism, to enhance, their administration, but also enhance, the competitiveness between the teams, because there's no more big and small team.
When the deal with SuperSport, when they started low. I think it was a few games, and then the deal was introduced. It basically changed our lives. When you look back to where we come from, the figures, you can't believe where we come from. It changed everything.
The marriage between SuperSport and the league allowed clubs like us to sell a better offering to companies and sponsors. We were able to sell, a quality product to them, and also more quantity in terms of the number of games that will be broadcast on television.
One of the big things that transpired when the deal was done was we also came on board with a total new bouquet of sponsors who also got involved in the broadcast sponsorship.
ABSA has had a phenomenal relationship with the PSL for the past 14 years. 4 of these in the ABSA Cup, and the last 10 years as the sponsor of the Premier Soccer League. The ABSA Premiership is a flagship soccer tournament in South Africa, and therefore provides the foundation and cornerstone for all other soccer activities in this country.
In terms of the changes that we've seen over the years with SuperSport, broadcasting a lot of the local football games, are twofold. Firstly is the much higher level of production values of soccer that our consumers are accustomed to, production values that really can be compared to the English Premier League and many other European leagues. But I think more so what our customers have really taken advantage of is the fact that they're more televised games, and therefore you can go to taverns and bars across the country and you'll see that decoders have been installed, and consumers come and find entertainment in bars as they consume our brands.
I believe that SuperSport took things to another level. They've covered the games, production-wise, the production values increased. They've made the product more accessible to a large number of our supporters. And I believe technically they've educated a lot of us, and I think they've also grown the technical footprint of the business.
Well, from the quality of production, to my eye, it seems that we're up there with the best in the world. And I think something else that the investment that SuperSport's made in football is it's given the clubs the ability to invest in their own development, into the discipline of running a club properly, development of youth. So there are multiple benefits that flow from this deal too.
No, I think what SuperSport's brought to football is the level of professionalism that the sport needed in our country. I think it's also enhanced the lives of many people, not only the players, but the people around the game.
When the deal was put together, I was still an intern, but obviously when the deal starts, a lot of opportunities opened up. The guys, there were studio shows that were put together, magazine shows. From being a runner there to actually being a director on the shows was actually proof of opportunities that the PSL has created for people like myself.
What I loved about the relationship with SuperSport was that it was not just about the business side with the PSL in terms of broadcasting. It was about the leadership and people coming through the ranks and clubs learning more about the business, and going to the Wits Business School and engaging with some of my counterparts was absolutely incredible. I look back now and I see some of them running federations, running clubs, and the lessons there and the relationships that were forged were incredible. So the investment in people, I think, was incredible too.
We were fortunate enough to attend the MEP program at Wits University, where educational courses like your marketing, finances, basic accounting were taught to us, and your operational management courses. So those courses were able to equip us so that we are able to sit in this position and able to lead.
What you're finding now is that you're finding administrators that are well educated to ensure that their businesses as individuals are running well. You know, the club is a gathering of 32 clubs, and it's important that each club functions well individually for the benefit of the league. The SuperSport course was hugely beneficial in that regard. Another critical element of the SuperSport Viz course is the networking opportunities it gives you for people across the sporting spectrum. You're able to engage with people from rugby, cricket, soccer, and understand their particular challenges as well. You are able to see what other people are doing, and some of those things help improve the strategies that you are implementing in football.
The PSL and ourselves here realize that something is not right. Let's find a balance between professional football and your fringe players. But the only way to do it was to have a reserve league, which is the MDC.
The brains behind MDC are genius.
We got the brief that, you know, we need to look at the tournament. It's to grow the next phase of football players in the various clubs and look at something that's going to change South African football from a point of having the younger talent getting an opportunity to play more games, get television coverage, and we all know what happens when there's TV coverage. Players do take their levels up by 15-20%. So while sitting in the meeting, a couple of the guys, we thought about it and said, hold on, if we're going to do something like that for the game of football, why don't we look at it holistically, from behind the scenes, from suppliers to operators to everyone, and let's look at it and say, how do we create opportunities within the television industry to grow the business, to grow the industry? And we then came up with a plan together with my team, in that we made a rule that none of the staff working on it should be more than 30 years old. The other thing that we made sure was 50% of the people working on the production should be women, females. All suppliers should be BEE compliant. So those are things that we utilize to say, this is a game changer for us. This is an opportunity to take the South African TV industry forward.
When the project started, Alvin said, you must run with this project, you must get people to work on it, you know? And I had to do a handover, you know, mainly we wanted to have more females working on this production, you know, and Nono has been a success story for it.
I'm very grateful to be part of the MDC because I'm the project leader there, so I get an opportunity to also empower other young people, you know, and share my journey and my story with them. And I've seen so many lives being changed, you know, and for me, that just says this industry is able to touch lives. We do more than just make magic, like I said, but we're able to transform people's lives.
I just love MDC. It was, can you imagine anyone willing to pay for your development, because that's basically what it is.
As a CSI initiative, it's a positive initiative. The festivals across the country and fixtures across the country draw a large number of people, and the programs attached to it, such as the life skills training and the school programs, are also good to show that multi-choice themselves are not just looking at the commercial aspects of football, but also the developmental aspects.
It's the perfect relationship. Even though when it started, people were not sure, we were not sure, everyone now loves MDC. And you can see the standard at MDC now, that everyone is taking it seriously because everyone can see the results.
Look at what the MDC has done. Again, another milestone, watershed decision, where you find our communities coming out in their numbers to watch their stars who are warming benches in the different PSL clubs. But the exposure for the youngsters, those who win, go to either Netherlands and so on. But the benefit for clubs, for their own development side, and to even bring some of the players whom they want to nurture to basically be exposed at the competitive level, so that when they graduate to the A team in the PSL, they've been exposed to some level of competitiveness.
The number of players who have now got an exposure
at under 23 and under 21 level, who otherwise would not have been exposed, who are coming out earlier and playing in the professional ranks earlier, is remarkable.
I think it really gives young players a great opportunity to showcase themselves, gives them an opportunity to show maybe their coach is watching. He might not be at the game, but people might be watching, and it really gives young players an opportunity to really kick on to the next level.
To be fair with you, multi-choice disc challenge is basically competing with the PSL. They are now raising up their standards because their football is very exciting. Fans are watching the game, and it's also good for PSL as well because we get to see players in the multi-choice disc challenge. And by the time they get to the PSL, we know those players because we've seen them.
You can see the quality of the players that are coming from there, and again, it gives the PSL teams the opportunity to develop the players. It also gives the players that are playing in the PSL who are trying to get their match fitness, are trying to recover from injuries, to be able to play in the MDC. So it's a very, very important league.
We're reaping the rewards out of that now. Many players came from there now playing in the PSL.
Disky Challenge has been very good. It's showcased young talent. It's expanded the brand, both brands at a development level, but also what I've loved about the Disky Challenge is also exposing our youth to the African market as well. So that's very important to us, and I'd like to see it growing further and further.
Along with that multi-choice disc challenge, you have other, programs that sort of aligned with it as well, as far as the young players are concerned. You're talking about the life skills programs. You're talking about, internship with SuperSport itself, and cameramen, and even you're talking about commentators giving opportunity, young up-and-coming commentators. So I think a lot of things, obviously, as far as the PSL and SuperSport is concerned, gave more job opportunities for younger generation, but also gave them a greater insight as to what production is all about. We know with football now, currently also, it's a massive business. Television has a big impact as to what transpires on the field and off the field. And I think going forward, the SuperSport will definitely have a bigger influence regarding the PSL is concerned.
"10 years on, history has absolved us. This has become stronger and even better, and looking forward to the next 10 years and many more years to come."
For me, it's very emotional. I've been part and parcel of the DNA of this relationship. We do everything in our power to drive the brand of the PSL jointly with SuperSport, because we believe they are at the best place that they should be. We don't want to be bullish about it. We think we deliver a good product. We're constantly questioning ourselves. We do have an open door relationship with the clubs and with the league itself.
Just when you think, this relationship is actually a wonderful relationship, a new dimension is added, which just improves it. And as time has gone, we've seen many innovations. We've seen many shows come on stream. We've seen the multi-choice Super Disky, and we look forward to seeing what's going to happen in future. I think there's so many innovations out there. And with the ever-changing environment that we've got in the world when it comes to technology, it's great that we've got a partner that is staying abreast with those, and they're able to portray our products in a positive way.
When I look at the partnership, I see that we're in the top 10 in the world in terms of how our clubs are structured, how the league is structured, the type of broadcasting that the game gets in South Africa is extremely good. And that's obviously thankful to SuperSport.
The broadcast standards that we set in terms of meetings, in terms of broadcast manual, these are all set by rules that are done by FIFA, and we try and work jointly on those standards so that we do not feel like, because we're in South Africa or in Africa, that we should be able to drop our standards.
Mainly you find that SuperSport, now we had this high definition thing. People are asking, what's high definition now? Does it mean you have to buy new TVs? Does it mean you have to change this and that? No, didn't mean that. It was just a new thing that came about that changed how we look at TV, how we direct football from our side, the SuperSport, and how the viewer views what we give to them. And the PSL as well, being the people who are the custodian of football, professional football in the country, it was up to them to promote this new marriage between SuperSport and the PSL. And today, look at where it is.
At the end of the day, it's about leadership, and I've been
blessed and privileged to have served on the PSL Executive Committee since 2006. I've spent over 17 years at SuperSport, and so to be exposed to the leadership styles of Dr. Khoza and Imtiaz Patel has been a special privilege, because they introduced dynamic, innovative, inspirational leadership. They're very, very strong as personalities. They have the genuine desire to add value, to empower, and to build people, to change people's lives for the positive, and in the end to create a legacy on which the future can build, where we can move forward in South African football. We've already got a product that the whole continent can be proud of, that our country can be especially proud of, and that's going to last well into the future with the foundation that's been set by both SuperSport and PSL over the past 10 years.
The PSL has driven the upkeep of the wonderful infrastructure that this country has, and if they can do it for another 10, 15 years by demanding high standards of the clubs that participate, they will have taken that legacy of 2010 and pushed it, into a whole new stratosphere. So, yeah, I think, maybe in 20 years' time, 25 years' time, when we sit back, you could probably look at it with a bit more perspective and realize that we have lived in the last decade through the most exciting time, I think, ever in terms of sport in this country, for sure. I mean, just having the World Cup here, and particularly the kick-on from the World Cup, has been massive.
For the smaller support that they've got from either APSA and then SuperSport deal, and all the support that will be generated going into the future, it is good for our football. It means we can maintain and develop our own players here in South Africa, and it can only happen if PSL is efficient. And I can tell you now, if you look at 10 years on and the past 10 years, the PSL is destined for glory.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations on this joyous occasion. We're celebrating 10 years. This is just my dedication.
A star-studded event was held on the 28th of January to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the PSL and SuperSport's fruitful partnership, featuring glitz, glamour, live performances and our very own special brand of razzmatazz. It was a lavish affair. However, as with all good things, it didn't come together without a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
It is a big event. It's celebrating 10 years of the PSL and SuperSport coming together, giving our people, our football, the moments, magic, and it's part of our culture. Football is part of our identity.
All that together here to celebrate the SuperSport 10th anniversary. It's amazing. Such an honor, and I'm so humbled to be here. So humbled to see the production from nothing, as you can see behind me, to what it is now.
It's always a great pleasure to work with esteemed professionals. Everyone that's in this room is a professional. So everyone is adding value to the event. So I'm always grateful for such opportunities.
We're here celebrating with everybody. I'm truly honored to be here and also to be recognized as an artist that could come and perform the track that we did many, many years back.
Long hours of rehearsal, but that's what you need to put together a fantastic show. Huge, exciting cast, which I'm very excited to be a part of.
We are so very happy and we are proud and we are appreciated for, first of all, to be here for PSL and SuperSport to invite us to be here. That means they take us seriously.
Now everywhere I go, people, they can recognize me, they know me through a multi-choice, through SuperSport. And for that I say, SuperSport, pick up. I love you much.
It's actually a fantastic challenge to take what we know and love about entertainment and apply it to something like sport, and not only that, but get the opportunity to do it, celebrating PSL and SuperSport 10-year anniversary.
In a show like this, the musical direction team, we basically coordinate all the functions, like calling the artists, cutting the tracks down, producing them, and making sure that that happens.
SuperSport has led where nobody else has. For me, the 10 years signifying so much growth.
I'm really loving the fact that if you look at some of the performers as well, they form an integral part. I think they're an extended family of SuperSport. I mean, you've heard their anthems every time that we showcase the beautiful game, local football. So it's fantastic. This is really a family celebration, and I'm excited looking at the guest list, some of the people that are going to be here. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
What we like about the fact that local football infuse local musicians, you know, and for us, they've told our stories for the people in the township, and they relate to those stories. So it's been good that we've had Trombis from the beginning of this journey.
We were Ama Tuesdays, we were at some point Super Disky, Maspiza, Umsenko, with Disky, what an honor. And of course, Mati 10 years, let it be more 10 years as well to enjoy this.
2006, the winds of change came, and it was a revolution of football in South Africa.
The PSL and SuperSport are two of the biggest brands in the country, and what happens when you put two of the biggest brands in the country together? You get magic.
For us in SuperSport, the deal is more than just about showcasing and broadcasting football. For us, it's about also developing talent. We have the MDC that develops on the field talent, but we also develop talent behind the scenes.
Coming back to South Africa was probably the biggest thing that I could have done, you know, because I came to find that our infrastructures have changed. The stadiums have become extremely, extremely good. Like our standards have gone extremely, extremely high.
In terms of developing football in this country, I think this partnership has actually taken football to another level. Whoever wants to do this after us is Pansebaya. We've set the bar too high. It's up to them to see.
Well, I can tell you there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight than right here.
What a time to be alive. Welcome to the greatest show in Mzansi this evening.
So I think it's time for us to take it back.
This partnership has transformed the landscape of football and football broadcasting in Africa. And their brave decisions 10 years ago are vindicated by this special occasion tonight.
Everyone is a part of this celebration.
10 years on, looking around this room, there are many of us who have the right to feel a sense of quiet satisfaction. Together, the PSL and SuperSport have delivered. Together, we have transformed the vision into reality.
10 years ago, a game changer happened in South African professional football. A meeting of minds and a shared vision created a partnership that was to bring what was already recognized as one of the best organized leagues in the world to the living rooms and public entertainment spaces across the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot think of a better privilege than having spent my life being a part of beautiful game at all levels. I want to take this opportunity, and I'm gracious and I'm humbled to serve you, the people of South Africa. The opportunity has elevated me. I cannot ask for more. Thank you for the support, Imtiaz Patel and your board of SuperSport and MultiChoice. Thank you very much.
This is a milestone. I'm here on behalf of the South African government to say long live PSL, long live. And they keep doing the great job of taking sport, and in particular football, to better heights. 10 years on, the league is bigger and the league is lucrative, with more possibility of even becoming bigger and better. Thank you once more, and thank you. 10 years, and we look into the next 10 years. And let's toast to that and celebrate this great league.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The marriage with a partner that cares, supports, and is professional. Thank you, SuperSport.
Well done to SuperSport, and well done to the PSL, you know, on a fantastic 10 years and still going stronger.
I want to say to the PSL, thanks for a wonderful 10 years. Thanks for the support that you've given us as match officials. We look forward to being of service to you and to the country for the many more years to come.
On behalf of the SuperSport United players, I'd like to congratulate the PSL and SuperSport on their great coverage over the last 10 years, and I hope they go from strength to strength together.
The power of our partnership with the Premier Soccer League and SuperSport cannot be understated, helping us connect and engage with millions.
I'll be lying if I say there isn't a single South African who doesn't appreciate the game now that we do with SuperSport. And that's what it has been. It has been an exciting 10 years. It has been an exciting relationship, and there's more to come.
Well, my wish to the PSL and to SuperSport is that this union keeps growing and that it goes from strength to strength. Already, I think we've seen the development in terms of the spin-offs. I think as long as this union keeps growing, there'll be a lot of places where people can apply themselves.
The SuperSport PSL marriage has got a long-term future for itself, especially with the people that are running it, and especially with the enthusiasm that we receive from SuperSport.
I am really confident that you will continue to grow the platform of football with sponsors like ourselves and our other colleagues, and that you continue to bring excitement.
But all in all, I think we do have a great future ahead of us, and we will be able to navigate through some of these challenges and be able to see how best we can enhance what has already been done so far. So with that, I would like to say thank you to SuperSport.
Thank you to SuperSport. Thank you to MultiChoice as well. It has been a good relationship.
Thank you, SuperSport, for the courage of being a good and civic-minded company. I say to you, grow big and strong. Maintain the support of the PSL. We value it very much. Thank you very much.